Good morning. Today is day one of our Pelican Tote sew along. Today is going to be our longest day, so I'm going to break these videos up so you can take a break if you need to, or you can just go to the one that you need because you're not going to need all of the parts for both of the bags if you're not making both of them. So this one we're going to cut our vinyl first. Always, no matter what pattern you're doing, if you're doing a bag pattern, cut your straps first. Make sure that you have enough of the fabric going in the correct direction. So always cut your straps first, no matter if you're doing them in vinyl or if you're doing them in the cotton woven. If you're not cutting vinyl for your bag and you're using all woven, you can go ahead and use this video for the pieces that we're cutting. Just cut them out of your woven instead of your vinyl. So for your vinyl, you need piece B, and you need to make sure that the top and bottom are taped together. And then you need to write down the dimensions of your straps for which bag you're using, and those can be found on page 2 in both patterns. We're going to start with the 12-inch roll, which is our basic tote, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this white end off real quick. Just to get that out of the way. And I'm actually going to flip mine over upside down to cut. So I'm just going to roll that up so I have some space. And if you're not using a rotary cutter and you need to use scissors, you can just go ahead and mark on the back of this with a ruler, and you can use an ink pen, a Sharpie marker, a chalk, anything, because it's not going to show, and most things will mark real easy on this back. So for my basic straps, I need a 4 by 25. I'm just going to line up my edge here. My ruler is only 24 inches, so I'm going to start an inch up and over 4 inches. And then cut that across the length. And there's strap number 1. You need 2 straps. I'm going to do the exact same thing. Start up an inch in 4 inches. And straight across. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut this extra piece off because I'm going to need it, and then it will just be out of the way for me. I'm going to roll this back out. I'm going to turn it right side up just so I can see what's going on here. For your 12-inch roll, you're going to have to cut your pieces going the length because your piece is too tall for the 12-inch. We're going to cut 2 right side up, and we're going to flip it over and cut 2 upside down. So I'm going to start mine in a corner on a straight and a straight, so I only have to cut this curve. I want to straighten up this edge down here a smidge. And then I'm going to flip that around and do that again. So I have my straight on the straight. I'll cut across my top. And then I'll just cut around my curve. Alright, so I've got my 2 pieces that I cut upright. So now I need to cut both of these pieces upside down. So again, I'm going to line that edge up with my straight. Cut my curve. Cut my top. And one more time. Lining up my edges. and cut my curve. So now you should have two pairs that when you put them wrong sides together, your curves line up. Wrong sides together, your curves are on the same side. And that is it for the vinyl for the basic. So you have 4 of your number B, or your letter B, and your 2 straps. I'm going to set those aside, and I'm going to cut our fancy bag. Again, I'm just going to cut this white part off and get that out of the way. Now for these straps, they're 30 inches long, so I'm going to do this just slightly different. I'm going to roll this out on my cutting mat, and I'm going to cut straight across at 30. And then these need to be 3.5 wide. I'm just going to eyeball my ends past my ruler. Got my 3.5. And I'll just go ahead and adjust that one. There's one. Same thing. 3.5. There's 2. Now, because we're using an 18-inch tall roll, we can use a directional print and have our pieces be upright. And the same thing, you're going to cut 2 up and then 2 down. And if you got a roll from Evelyn, you should have plenty left if you cut that 30 inches off first. So I'm just going to go right past this little smidge of white. Just lining up my top. Cut around my curve. I'm going to go ahead and flip just so I can line up with the straight again. So 1 up, 1 down, and then I'll do 1 up, 1 down. Just eliminates cutting another side. Now we're going to do 1 up. And 1 down. Flip it to make your other down. Alright, so you'll have the same thing now as your basic. You'll have 2 pieces that when you put wrong sides together, your curves match. And then you have your 2 straps. And then you have some left over for another project. So that is all for your vinyl, both the basic and the fancy. Again, if you need to use scissors instead of a rotary cutter, you can trace these on the back. Just check your placement and make sure that when you flip your vinyl that you know where your tops and bottoms are. Alright, that's all for the vinyl, and I'll see you next video for the exterior.